As you scale your painting company, the stakes get higher and higher and higher, especially when it comes to your marketing spend. Being very good at managing that marketing spend, knowing when to turn it on, when to turn it off, is absolutely essential for the success and growth of your business. In this video, I'm going to dive into the one metric that I think every single painting company needs to have their marketing and sales teams meeting around weekly at a minimum to make sure that you're on track to hit your sales and revenue numbers. So if that's of interest, stick around because that's what we're going to be talking about. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and I am the owner of Boolean Automation, where our mission is to free you up from the mundane, boring tasks inside your painting company and use AI and technology to automate as much of the back office part of your business as we can so that you can be free to do what you love, which is growing your painting business, spending time with your family and whatnot. So in this video in particular, we are going to be talking about NSLI, which is the net sales per lead issued metric. I also happen to call this the value per sales qualified lead, which is an easier way in my mind to make sense of the number. But essentially, what this powerful metric is, it helps you answer the question, if I give this sales rep 10 leads, how much revenue are they going to bring to the business? If I give this sales rep 10 leads, how much revenue will they bring to the business? So when you have an NSLI broken down by sales rep, I can say that this sales rep has a $30,000 NSLI. So 10 leads given to this person will generate $30,000 in revenue. And that's a very, very powerful metric that you can use for forecasting. And I'm going to get into that in this video. I'm going to break down exactly, first of all, how you calculate it, how you can show this number inside reports in, say, like inside of HubSpot. But I also want to show you how to manually calculate it inside of Google Sheets. And then the best part, midway through the video, I'm actually going to show you the spreadsheet that you can create and forecast how many leads do you need by month for you to hit any revenue goal inside your business. And then with a little bit of more information on your marketing spend, you can actually craft the exact number of marketing dollars that you're going to need to hit 3 million, 5 million, 7 million, $10 million in revenue using these metrics. And these are the exact same processes that I used as the marketing director of a $10 to $20 million or a $10 million painting company that I helped scale to $20 million to dial in our marketing spend so that we could obsess over saving percentages, which was huge amounts of money. So if that's of interest, here's a dive into the conversation of me demoing and walking through a client of ours through this exact process. I hope you find a ton of value in this, and please let us know if there's anything else that you'd like to see. Okay, so inside of HubSpot here, I'm making this report that is looking at any deal that's in your sales pipeline. So that would be that it got scheduled, because the only way it can get to the sales pipeline is if it got scheduled. So that's the filter that I'm putting on. And then I want to look at the entire year. So I'm going to say this year, and I'm looking at deals that closed this year. So as long as your sales team is moving deals to won or lost, that's when they get a close date. If they're not moving them to, like if they're just sitting in sales follow-up, it probably doesn't have a close date on it, because closed means you're winning or losing it. Then, so this one here, the amount in company currency, there is a closed deal amount, which is the revenue that you won instead of just how much the bids were worth. So now we're looking at the count of deals, the amount. Let's do closed revenue here as well. Closed deal amount. So this is showing you how, like, Rick closed 1.025 in revenue this year, and that's across 641 leads or estimates that he ran. So his closed deal amount looked at as an average is what we call that NSLI number. Does that make sense? Yeah. So now we have each person, and let me filter out. It looks like we just need Matt. Let's put one other filter on here so we don't all the other users. The owner is any of Matt's Matt Mason, and Rick. And this is something that I would say, like, definitely you could start looking at this with sales guys. But now that we have this, this is the part that I love. It's super, super awesome. So Rick is at a 1600 NSLI. You're at an 1820, and Matt's at 1170. And again, if you were to take Rick's average job size, which let's say it's 4,000, right? And multiplied it with his close rate, you're going to get this same 1600. It's the same ultimate calculation, because I'm just taking, like, if I have a $4,000 average job size, I close 50% of my deals, that's $2,000. And you do the same math on if you took what's my total revenue I got divided by the leads I got, and that's giving you 16, 18, and 1100. So now with that information, you have, I would say, make a decision on, and actually one other thing we could do is, if you didn't want to look at it by sales rep, we could just do no grouping at all. And how do I remove that group? Here we go. This is the number I was looking for. So it's down below. So summary would be, it's your average is 1587. So what is awesome about this is now you can say my NSLI is 1587 for the whole sales team. And that's like your benchmark. So maybe you say, whatever, if sales reps can get above 1600, there's a bonus of an X percent or something for hitting above 1600, because that's going to allow you to hit your revenue goal. And that's because, let's say, what's my goal for 2025? What's your revenue target? So 3.5. And now that you have a NSLI, I can tell you exactly that. And again, we're clarifying this is scheduled estimates. And so 3.5 million divided by my NSLI, you're going to need 2,205 scheduled estimates for you to hit your goal this year, unless your sales team can improve somehow and get 1,800, right? But then on top of that, again, and this is the thing that's, like, I just love this, is because you can say, okay, this is 2025. Let's say for 2026, and I'll share this sheet with you afterwards, but let's say we could get up to 1,800 NSLI, and we're going to go for 5 million. So this would be our total leads needed is 2,700. And then, like, you go, so now, and that's the part that's amazing about this, is now you can tell there's actually one more step. Let's say, what's my conversion rate between a scheduled estimate and the leads that come in the door, like a marketing lead, right? So let's say, yeah, I would say, in my experience, it's probably around 80% for like a decent company. So if we say that our conversion rate is 80%, then let's say the number of MQLs is what I call it. So marketing qualified leads would be the 2205 divided by the 80%, which I didn't put there. So 0.8. So that means I need 2,756 MQLs to hit that. And then you can now finally put in what's my cost per lead, which is what your marketing company is telling you. And let's say that you're spending, I don't know, 105. Do you know what that number is? $105. Yeah. And the other thing you can do is, what do you want your marketing spend to be at? Like, do you budget? Like, we want our marketing spend to be 10% or 8% or 6% of revenue. Yeah, because what I would say is, let's say if you wanted to, you could say, just to figure out what you want to spend with your NSLI where it's at right now. If you wanted your spend to be 8% of revenue, you do that times 0.08. And that means that you have to spend $126 or less to get your scheduled estimates. and you'd have to spend, let's do this divided by 0.8. Whoops. Okay, so if we say 3%, that's awesome. Then that means that you would have to spend $47 per scheduled estimate to hit this, or you need to spend $60, let's call it, to get for your marketing qualified lead. So that, because again, that, wait, did I do that backwards? I did that backwards. Hold on. So it'd be 0.08. I think it's this divided by times 0.8. That's it. Okay. So that means that in order to hit the revenue, I would need 1587, 2000. Yeah. So then this means that I'm allowed to spend $38 per marketing qualified lead. So that means that my marketing budget is now that times my cost per lead. So I need to spend 104,000. That's what you did. That's it, like basically what you said this year, right? So now when you're saying, well, how do we do next year? Like if you can still hit a marketing budget of 3%, that's your target. But if, in my experience, when we were growing at Webfoot, in the summertime, you'd get leads for that probably. But in the wintertime, we'd have to spend a lot more than $38 because we're just trying to keep guys busy so that when it gets busy in the summer, we can scale. So anyways, that's the first piece. Is you can see like we're literally going in like 8 steps from what's my NSLI, what's my revenue target, and now I know my marketing budget for the year. So then the last thing I'll show you is if you take and you can look at this historically, so you're not making these numbers up. So this is percent of annual leads. And let's say, because we all know that it's slower in the winter time, but we don't know by how much. So let's just say that we're going to do 100 divided by 12 is 8%. So if we do 8% across every month, the last thing here because you have to give, like when you're talking about, in my opinion, the marketing and sales working together and tracking this stuff day in and day out, because you can know super early on, like we're not even close. It doesn't matter how good we do production wise. We're light years apart from where we need to be. And you could also then quickly say, somehow we need our sales team to jump in NSLI by $200 in order for us to even like have a course correction to get on, right? Because you're starting to figure out the exact targets here. So 8% of leads each month would be them evenly distributed. But now I can tell you the number of leads each month would be the total leads that I need to get. So these are marketing leads. So that times my percentage. And this is, let me lock that. So that now we're talking about 220 leads a month. That's from your marketing team. And then SQLs. And I'm again going to say number of MQLs. Yep. And then if we did 8%, but yes. So then this one would be, oops, MQLs, and we want this to be C7. Okay. So now you have based on all these assumptions, I need 220 MQLs, 176 SQLs each month. But then the part that I would be curious to look at, you can actually see for 2024, and I don't know if you're going to have good enough data, but like for 2025, you would certainly have this data when you're projecting 2026. And you could say, we know that we only get 4% of our leads in January because we totaled up all the leads for the whole year. And then we just looked at number in January divided by total leads for the year. And now we can actually say that, the slow season, which starts around November, it drops. And then we know that May, and these are just from memory, this is typically what it's like. But let's say it's like 12%, and then June is crazy. We get 16%, and then maybe it's 12%, 10%, 9%, something like that. So, because it makes sense that you're not going to be, it's going to be a bell curve for the leads, but then you just got to make sure that my total, so I'm at 101% of my percentages here. And now again, here's my lead targets. So I can go to my marketing team and say, I need 110 leads. And then the other part again is, let's say maybe you're, what are you willing to spend for cost per MQL? And I would say your marketing team might struggle to hit that number, but maybe you tell them in the summertime or in the winter, I'm okay with you guys spending $150 per lead because it's harder or whatever, right? And they're, at least at Webfoot, we were willing to have a smaller margin on our jobs between November and February, because that means that we're keeping our guys busy and they're happy and they're not going to leave us. And we have fewer people to train because they're sticking with us in the slow season. So when it gets busy, we can onboard 2 new subs on the A&A way and then ramp up faster. Does that make sense? So then the last piece here is, now I have my, this is 150. So I would do times, so it'd be cost per MQL times my number of MQLs. So now my marketing budget each month looks like this. And then I would say, as we get into busy season, this is going to drop rapidly. And in April, I don't want to be spending more than, 60. And then in May, I should be at $40 a lead through that season. And then maybe it's starting to inch up a little bit. Something like that. And now I can give you your total budget for the year is 200,000. And that's a rough distribution of how it would go. And again, the way to tie this, to get it more dialed, what we would do, and this is what I did, is I would look at quarters. So I'd be like, what's our NS? Because you want to potentially track, you like, depending on how granular you want to get, it's like, this would be fantastic for where you guys are at because you're not doing this. But just know that you could say, in quarter one, what's our close rate? What's our NSLI? What's the number of leads that we got? What's our conversion rate? And you could update all these numbers by quarter if you wanted to fine tune it even more. But I would say that's like, all those perfections of this process are like a 1% improvement for a $10 million company is a lot more money than a 1% improvement for when we're talking about the marketing budget, right? Because I would be managing like $1 million of ad spend. And that's just, like, how you got to make sure that you're not running $100,000 experiment 1 month on accident, So Bend, Oregon. Yeah. So when I got there, we were just under 10. And then when I left, we had opened up 5 markets of just concrete coatings. And the concrete coatings division grew from about 500,000 my first year to 12 million when I left 3 years later. But that was in 5 metros around, like Portland, Boise, Salt Lake. But now they've basically scrapped that because it's very hard to scale cities, like just jump to a new city, and the brand and all that stuff is just hard. But I don't know what they're at currently. My guess is that they're probably somewhere between 14 and 15 million. And Bend's a small, they're like big fish, small pond. I know you guys are outside of Chicago. Bend is like 300,000 people. It's a very small town. All right. Well, hopefully this is helpful, but I would say, yeah, the biggest thing, like whatever your targets are, this type of process with your sales manager reviewing, because you don't have in-house marketing, but like just sharing this knowledge with your marketing team on your expectations, like you could see how if you're shooting for 5 million, you could track through March. We only have, the number of leads that we're supposed to have is 441 and we're only at 400. So we need to get 40 more leads made up in the rest of the year. And we can do that by higher NSLI, better conversion rate, cheaper lead cost, or just spending more money. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like access to the spreadsheet, you can find the link in the description below. Please let me know if you have any questions or things that you'd like further breakdowns on. Also, what other videos would you like to be seeing? Because we are working on some really cool stuff at Boolean, and it's so hard to know what is going to resonate or where people are at, where you're getting stuck. So please don't hesitate to drop comments down below, and we'll be sure to respond and make some more content for you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.